What's up, everyone, and welcome to Making the Shift for Autistic Kids.
We're an SLP couple from California with 4 boys.
And we're here every week to bring you neuro-affirming tips, tricks, and tools.
Are you ready to make the shift?
Let's do this!
Hello. Welcome to Making the Shift. Today we are talking about my go-to strategy for starting your sessions with a regulated child. If you are an SLP, your goal is communication. Your goal is language, and you want to be able to work on those goals and targets you have in your speech sessions. And when a kid comes in dysregulated, that really hinders our ability to do that. So the first and most important thing we can do when starting our speech sessions is figure out in the very quickest way possible, how can we get this child to a regulated state? And the sooner we can get them into a regulated state, the sooner we know that they can move up the language staircase, their brain goes out, leaves fight or flight, it leaves the survival states, it leaves that area it's in when it's having a stress response, because that's where we are when we're dysregulated, and we are able to move up, and we are able to think, and we are able to use logic and plan and be creative and play and all of these great things that we need from our clients when we are in therapy. So our goal is speech and communication. Therefore, we need to start off with a regulated child. So how do we start our sessions with a regulated child? I was actually at a local clinic recently training the team, and I was surprised in a way by this question, which was essentially like, what do we do when the kid comes in and they're just like all over the place, and I don't know how to even start my session at that point, right? Because to me, that's the most important thing you need to know how to do, is how can you actually begin your session? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about beginning your sessions today and how you can do that. And I asked them, I said, well, do you guys do like a hello song? And they looked around. And I was like, no, there you go. And then I walked them through how to create a very regulating hello song. And I know that not all kids this will work for, because not all kids like singing. I would say vast majority of our kids do like singing or don't mind singing, or if they don't like us singing, they're okay with us like playing a song or something like that from our phone, one of their favorite theme songs or something like that. But what my go-to strategy is starting the session with some kind of hello routine. And again, it doesn't have to be a hello song. I'll sing you ours in case you're wondering what it sounds like, because everyone always asks. Okay, ours would be, hello, Jessie. Hello, Jessie. Hello, Jessie. We're glad you came to play. Then we sing it for everyone who's in the session, right? Okay, so that's our hello song. But occasionally what I'll do with kids is I'll like have them pick a theme song. Maybe they're older, have them pick one of their favorite theme songs, and we play it on my phone. Maybe we're going to do some kind of like cheer or chant or clapping game as the hello song, but some kind of way to start the session. And I know that this is very very specific based on age. For some kids who are younger, it might be more appropriate to sing a hello song. For older kids, you might want to modify it to some other kind of like hello starting type of routine that maybe doesn't involve singing or something like that. Okay, but the point is you want to start with some kind of like hello song, tradition, something like that. And you want to pair that with the sensory input that they need to get into their most regulated state. And you might be sitting here wondering, what is that sensory input? What does the child need? Okay, and we're going to walk through 2 different kind of types of kids and how to pick what kind of sensory input to start your sessions with, okay? So I'm going to give you example 1. These are both true stories. And tell me if you have a kid like this. Example 1 is your kid who comes in with so much energy and they immediately try to get into everything. They take the toy bins out. They might be dumping the toys. They might be going from toy to toy. They might be trying to go from room to room. Okay, so that's your super high energy kid. Or you might have a kid who's the opposite, a kid who comes in and just seems so chill and easygoing. And although in your head, you're probably thinking, finally, a moment to chill with my chill client, we know that that child is not optimally regulated. That child is probably has a little bit lower of a level of arousal, lower level of energy than we really need them to be at in order to get the most out of the session. And I will tell you, sometimes this isn't even something you discover until you try. For some kids, if they're the chill kind of kid I just described, who will like come in, plop down, and kind of like do anything you put in front of them, I want you to see what doing the sensory input like we're going to talk about today does for them, and just go in there and try. Because sometimes we see kids and we think sitting equals regulated, but sitting does not always equal regulated. We can have a kid who's like sitting through the whole session, but they are in this lower level of arousal where their brain is really not optimally where we need it to be in order for them to be learning. And just by giving them a little bit of the sensory input they need, we can bring them into an entirely different state for learning, a more regulated, more optimal state for learning. Okay, so first of all, do we have the high energy Tigger with all the energy, or do we have the low energy, more like passive type of Eeyore? Okay, and then based on knowing that, that's how you're going to decide how you start your session. So if you have your kid come in who's your Tigger, your kid who has all the energy, what I want you to do is first of all tell yourself, okay, breathe, because we tend to get dysregulated ourselves. And when we try to out fun them and out energy them to get their attention, we're probably just going to dysregulate them even further. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get ourselves a little bit more regulated. That's why we take a breath. We realize that they are in this high level state. And then we are going to do our hello song or our hello routine and provide them with calming input during that time. Okay, so I have some fun stuff I brought with me to show you. Okay, so one thing, it might even just be your hand. You might be squeezing their arms. I like to give them really nice deep squeezes down their arms, really slow and rhythmic while we sing hello. Or maybe if they're little and they like giving hugs, they could sit in your lap and you can sing hello, give them a big hug and sway really softly side to side. And that could be really calming for them. If you have what I have here, if you're listening to the audio, you won't be able to see this, but you can watch the video on YouTube if you want to come back and look. But if you have Lycra or some kind of a sensory sock like this, we can give them a big hug in it, wrap their body in this tight sensory sock in this Lycra fabric, and we can sing while we're giving them a squeeze. We can rock them back and forth. Swinging is great, really slow, rhythmic, front to back swinging. I know not everyone has access to a gym, but if you do, swinging really softly and slowly is great. I am also showing you here our weighted stuffed animal. This thing is heavy. This is a stuffed dog. These are just like Amazon finds. I'll link to my Amazon store in case you are looking for any of this stuff. Okay, but having a weighted animal like in their lap, having them give this animal a big hug, something like that can be really great and really calming. Okay, so those are some ideas that you can start off with if you have that high level of energy type of kid. Now, if you have the Eeyore come into your session, the child who's the lower level of energy, your goal is to do something in that hello song or that hello routine that's going to be more alerting for them. It's going to be more stimulating, and it's going to wake up their brain a little bit, wake up their body a little bit, where they are in a place where they are more regulated and ready to learn. Okay, I was just talking to one of our therapists about one of our kids who comes in, and he really does appear to be regulated because he sits and he hangs out and he chills, but really he is a little bit understimulated and needs a little bit of this alerting input, right? So you can start your session with some kind of big movement activity. If you do have a swing and you do big pushes or you spin on the swing, always equal number of spins both ways. We don't want to overspin, maybe like count to 5, then go the other way, count to 5. What I'm sitting on right now is one of my favorite tools, which is an office chair. a spinning office chair. You can have a kid come on. And again, like this doesn't matter what age they are. They could sit in an office chair. And who doesn't love to spin in an office chair? You could be 3 or you could be 30 and it's just as enjoyable. Okay, so you could have them singing or saying hello to you while spinning around in an office chair. So getting in some movement. I have a couple other fun things here. I have these fun scarves, which for some kids, it might be like more calming. Depends on how we use them, of course, right? But if we're like throwing up in the air and we're creating visual input and we're tickling them with the scarves, that's going to be more alerting. So if we have a kid come in who's more of an Eeyore, we could do some scarf tickles, scarf fun. Same thing with this parachute that I have right here. We could have them shaking the parachute, and we're giving really good visual input, and they're also getting some good movement in by singing hello, and like there's some good peekaboo action in there as well. But same thing with the parachute. If you want to make that calming, you could wrap them in it, give them a big hug as well. So it doesn't have to be something that's alerting. And then one more thing I brought to show you guys are these are called jigglers by Talk Tools, and these are vibrating like animals, basically. You probably can not hear it or see it, but this is, I think, supposed to be a sloth. I don't know, something, right? It kind of looks like that. And they vibrate, and they're really fun, and they're totally fine to like chew on, really easy to clean too for kids who need to clean them, or if kids do put them in the mouth. But you can even just like run this up and down their arms because vibration is very alerting. Okay, so those are some ideas for your kids who come in with that lower level of arousal and they just need to be kicked up a little bit with a little boost of energy. Okay, so I would say this will be one of the most transformational things you can do in your session, seriously, is have your kid come in, be able to identify what state they're in and know what kind of sensory input to pair with them I'm talking in the first 2 minutes of therapy. Like, how long does it take to sing hello, right? Not very long. Depends on how many people we're singing hello to. But it could be like a 1-minute activity. It could be a 3-minute activity. It could be a 5-minute activity. And that one activity is going to set that child up for success I might need to reword this, okay? Set them up for success for the remainder of the session. However, I will say that, not necessarily for the entire session, like that this is the only sensory input a kid is going to need in the session. For some kids, that's true, right? For some kids, they don't need a ton of sensory, and starting your session with some and maybe doing a little at the middle, a little at the end is going to be great. But some of our kids are more of like what I call our sensory kids, which are our kids who are the ones who we are like designing every single activity to be a sensory activity. Okay, so that's a little bit different. But I will say it will absolutely set you up for success for your session because you are bringing that kid in and you are getting them regulated in the very first few minutes that they're in your session. And from then on, everything else is going to be more effective. Working on communication, language, everything's going to be so much easier because you just did the hardest thing and you got it out of the way first, which is you got them into a regulated state. Okay, so if you are sitting here thinking, okay, this is gold and I really need more sensory strategies, I want to learn more about how to do this, I want to learn more about how to identify a child's regulatory state and then how to choose sensory strategies based on that, we have so many amazing sensory-based trainings for SLP specifically in our NeuroAffirm Therapy Academy. This is something that we launched just several months ago, the Academy. It's amazing. It's the most incredible group of ND affirming therapists. We currently have founding member pricing. Okay, so this membership, which has loads and loads of neurodiversity affirming trainings, live calls with an autistic mentor every month, a community, is $97 for an entire year. Okay, and you're getting continuing education for every training and live call that you go to. Okay, so it's such a steal. Our goal was to make neurodiversity affirming trainings accessible and affordable to everyone. So I will put the link below. We would love to see you in the Academy. And again, there's so many there's a whole section on sensory, so many awesome sensory trainings in there. You have to check them out if you found this useful. So thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Making the Shift. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to us if you could like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Our only goal is to spread neurodiversity affirming approaches all over the world, and we can only do that with your help. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.